Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome back to another weekly live stream with me, Mort, your host. I know it feels like I haven't talked to you guys in a while because we didn't have the Keeping It Casual with Sheikh Amir, but we are back. And before we get started, make sure you guys subscribe and make sure you guys like and consider joining Patreon or a member of the channel. All the description to that stuff will be down below. Also, we've got the new shirts, the Muzzy Buzz shirts, so make sure you guys check that out. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Arsalan is here. Abdullahi. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Joe Baz, good to see you, brother. Topic is going to be open right now. There is it's going to be open, but there is a link to join the live show in the description on YouTube. So if you guys want to participate in that, make sure you guys check it out. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi barakatuh. Abdul Ghani, welcome to the room. Inshallah, maybe I will join EF Dawa today. Maybe later on I will. After this, I've got to do another thing. I think I will be heading over to the studio. I've got to do something with the Mad Mamluks, inshallah, today. So maybe if I have time, I'll do that as well too. But as a reminder, the link to join the live show, if you guys want to join in and have a conversation with me about something, anything on your mind, anything that you want to get off your chest, or just say hello or assalamu alaikum, the link is in the description on YouTube to join the weekly show here. What I can also do is put it in the chat here as well too. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Here we go. Let me just put the link here for everybody. Here we go. All right. Okay, alhamdulillah, we are able to get that in there. All right. So now that we have that link, and just so you guys know very quickly, this episode is brought to you in part by Arabic Grammar Unlocked. It is a book you can order on Amazon. It's for those of you that want to get a better understanding of the grammar. It is based on a classical text called Al-Ajrumiyya. So make sure you guys go check that out if you are interested. All right, with that being said, welcome everyone to the show. Welcome Leslie Parker. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All right, so there's a lot of stuff happening in the world today. Starting off with Corona. I mean, that stuff has apparently now a lot of people are in the second wave of Corona. So make sure you guys stay safe. I know a lot of places are going to be going back into a lockdown. So make sure you guys stay safe. A lot of people, sometimes during the whole pandemic thing, people tend to relax a little bit because, they've been doing it for a while and everyone thinks, oh, well, you know what? I'm not going to get sick or nobody around me is sick or whatever. But keep in mind that, COVID can still spread and you can be carriers of the virus without having any symptoms, while being asymptomatic. So make sure you guys stay safe. In America, we've got, oh, you're immune like Donald Trump. Well, alhamdulillah, you're one of the lucky ones. You're built like Teflon. For me, I don't know. I don't know if I'm immune or not. So you guys are locked down, tier 3 lockdown in northwest of England. I have no idea what tier 3 means, but it sounds pretty serious. So I hope you guys stay safe. But we've got elections here coming up in exactly 9 days. So less than 10 days, Americans will have their votes in by then, by November 3rd. And they are going to decide who is going to be the next president of the United States, if Donald Trump is going to remain the president or if we will have Joe Biden as a president of America come in January. Another interesting thing to notice as well too, though, is that there are other races going on. For example, the Senate races. It is likely that the Democrats will probably take the Senate. I think there has been some private conversations that have been leaked where the Trump administration is worried about that. I don't know what will happen, but all of this is very exciting because I think no matter who wins or loses, there's going to be plenty of comedy to go around, plenty of meltdowns, plenty of chaos and ruckus. So we will see that. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. James Green, good to see you. I hope you're doing well too, inshallah ta'ala. Good to have you. Apparently, a floating man all the way from England likes Trump, so I think he's going to be betting on Trump until it happens. Be honest, guys, will I look weird buying a leash for my cat? I don't know. Maybe you might need a leash. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how big your cat is. I mean, some cats are huge. I have a friend of mine that has a cat called a Maine Coon. It's huge. It's a ginormous cat. So, yeah, I mean, maybe you might need it. I don't know. But anyways, so that is happening in America. If the Democrats do take the Senate and Trump wins the election, that should be also another whole set of drama, because that also means that we'll probably see another set of impeachment hearings, and this time around it'll be more dangerous for Donald Trump because before, for those of you not familiar with the American process, or even just an understanding, the House can impeach a president, but the Senate has to convict him or vote to convict him. And if it doesn't, he just gets impeached and nothing really happens. It's just like a mark, a stain, just like what happened to Bill Clinton. But if the Senate does move to take action on that, then that means that he can be removed from office, and that can be, obviously something that Donald Trump doesn't want. So there's a lot of stuff coming up. We'll see. But I don't think we'll have the results for the elections necessarily right away because of the mail-in ballots and all that stuff. So likely we'll probably see this go all the way until like I would say January, February. Like it'll be going on for a while. So be prepared for the drama. So did you see France begging Muslims to not boycott their products? You know what? We're gonna talk about France in a second. But I'm glad you brought that up, Big Papa. By the way, welcome to the show. Okay, let me see. James Green says, I wish Trump wins just to watch the drama. Yeah, a lot of people are like that too. I think there's gonna be drama no matter what, and it's gonna be pretty funny. Shahzad Ali, if Trump wins, it's the end of America. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be the end of America. I don't think that's the case. I think America will be fine either way with any president. People need to realize that one person does not change the government. They can have set a tone for the country, but it's not necessarily going to change the country in itself. We'll have some policies here and there, but most likely nothing will really change because Democrats and Republicans are really one and the same, in all honesty. Yes, France has the most coward government, absolutely. Thank that he beard looking. Jazakallah khair. I try to keep my beard looking okay, kids. You gotta at least make it presentable. But let's talk about France. Let's segue into France because I think a lot of people do want to talk about France. I have another video that I'll be releasing soon about France, which will be a message directed towards like the French people, or at least the French government and supporters of that ideology. But I think the problem is that what we're seeing is a hypocrisy. In the ideals of Western democracies and Western ideologies. They're struggling now to understand whether we have freedom of speech or we don't. They're struggling to, explain to people why certain individuals have freedom of speech and others do not, and freedom of expression and why others do not. And I think specifically this is about France, right? I mean, there are certain countries in the world where you can, where the freedom is necessary, is not necessarily as limiting. For example, what do I mean by that? Well, in France, apparently, you have the freedom to insult religion and religious figures. You have the freedom to, say all kinds of things about these figures. But yet, when it comes to emotional events like the Holocaust, you are unable to criticize that without facing repercussions. And to me, the problem is not that I want to go out and make fun of the Holocaust. That's not the issue. The issue here is that one side has a protected status because of an issue that is sensitive to them. And people will say, oh, well, the Holocaust was something bad that happened, and Europe, we saw what happened with anti-Semitism, we saw what happened to the Jews, and so forth and so on. But yet they won't make the same case for the Muslims. For example, with this hatred coming towards the Muslims, we saw recently about two muhajjibat that were stabbed in Paris, in the city, right? Why doesn't anybody equate this anti-Islamic rhetoric to the action that this, crazy French woman took by stabbing two Muslim women? But again, you're not going to see that conversation. Let's talk about, for example, a piece of cloth, the niqab or the hijab. They're moving to ban these kinds of things, right? So why is that freedom of expression not allowed? Right? What happened to these ideals and morals, right? To a country which prided itself on this, enlightenment, by reading the works of people like Voltaire, right? And saying, okay, we are an evolved society. We are, going to be tolerant and accepting, and we're going to be welcoming, and all these things. All these things are all these things are absolutely, they work for one group, but not for the other group. And I think this hypocrisy is a source of the problem. All right. Let's go ahead and see Macron, small man in a big office. Absolutely. Small man in a big office. All right. Fatima, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Safe traveler. Okay, all right, we're gonna bring you on. 1 second here. Let me just bring alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We're gonna go ahead and we have a guest, Steph Traveler. Let me bring him on to the show. All right. Oops, here we go. Hey, how are you doing, Steph Traveler? Welcome to the Muzzy Buzz Show. How can I help you? What's on your mind? I think we're gonna have to unmute you. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that's exactly what happens when you have, unfortunately, I apologize. You've got people that will try to join the show and do that. But hey, this is how people, and I'm giving you an example. This is an example of how people will behave that way. But see, what I'm saying is that stuff is normal for them. Do you know what I'm saying? This stuff is not offensive to them. This is what people who grow up in this morally bankrupt society, this is what they like. This is now that is supposed to be offensive to people, but not offensive, right? That's their freedom of expression, what he just demonstrated, right? He liked to do that. Well, some guy joined in the show and he wanted to again, this is the morally bankrupt society they have, right? And I apologize for anyone that saw that. It wasn't something I planned. I thought it was a joined live show. But again, this is what happens. When you have people like this, they will join in the show and they want to, and by the way, this translates into real life, right? People will do things like this simply because they want to express themselves, right? They want to be funny, right? But when you go and mock like the Holocaust, or you mock someone's the flag, or you mock their some other part, their mother or their values, or you mock democracy or whatever it may be, right? They get all up in arms. Oh, you're intolerant. You can't do with anything. You can't do this. Blah blah blah. They get so upset, right? They can't handle it, and this is the problem where these morals from Western societies, where there's a clash going on, right? Where you want to allow one side to do that. Like for him to play that, that's perfectly normal, right? I mean, that's for him. I mean, maybe in his home, this is what they see, and this is what they like to see in the public, right? But again, they're never going to allow people who have a different opinion to essentially express themselves without economic pressure, without social pressure, without government pressure. And what do I mean by government pressure? For example, look at what they're doing with the Muslims in France, right? They want to now dictate. He's following exactly the model that Muslim governments, so-called Muslim governments, have taken, right? They want to limit what kind of Islam you can talk about, who the khatibs of the masjid are going to be. They want to talk about, ban private schools and re-edit a curriculum. They're trying to teach a French version of Islam because they are not allowing freedom of speech, right? They're not allowing freedom of expression. They don't want to allow you to teach Islam. And what they're doing is they are taking the actions of an 18-year-old who is a recent migrant, a young 18-year-old. They're taking that action and then applying it to a whole group of people from different cultures, different age groups, different genders, different political leanings, and they're applying it to everyone, right? And now the French are saying, don't ban our goods. I hope, and I'm not a big fan of like BDS and protests and stuff, but I hope Muslim governments specifically, they decide to stop doing business with France until they fix this issue, right? And I think this is, if you can boycott, Israeli products and BDS, and to be honest, this is also an equal issue. You will give rights to Muslims, right? That's how I personally feel about it. I think you should, they should be able to stand up to some of this bullying. And I think that Erdogan has issued a statement saying that Macron needs to be checked. He has some mental illness, and I thought that was kind of funny. I'm not sure. But yes, let's go back up on the same people who will argue bestiality. Absolutely, absolutely. France returns remains of the Algerian anti-colonial fighters Al Jazeera. That may be true. Yes, it does seem very much that they're bringing the hatred on. You are a big guy, big fan of the guy singing Nasheed Omar Suleiman. I'm not sure who that is. But anyways, inshallah, the croissant will replace the samosa soon. Will be replaced by, it could be. That's true. It's happening in England, as somebody else pointed out. Let me see here. To them, modesty is misogyny, while the commodifying of women and calling it freedom. Yes, they commodify women. Absolutely. That is absolutely true. But anyways, there's a lot of stuff that's happening that's going on, and I think that people need to take a look at that, because there's a double standard. Here, let me see what MacBook here says here. I know that we complain a lot here in America, but we thank Allah that we don't have to go through our brothers and sisters are going through in France. I agree. Are you willing to advocate for the boycotting of French? Absolutely, I am. Oh, Kenny Bomber, alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, my brother Kenny. Good to have you. Good to have you join in. We love the work that he does. So make sure you go over to Brother Kenny's channel and check out the work that he's doing. It's important. Make sure you donate. He has some also great projects for wells around the world for delivering water to brothers and sisters and people who need that. So please go ahead and check that out. Good friend of mine, Yusuf Chowdhury. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to the show. Good to see you. Always a pleasure to have you. No problem, Brother Mo. Just keep doing what you're doing. That person actually confirms the filth. We want to better. Absolutely. Well, you know what? That person is actually the person is someone that is representative of what's happening a morally bankrupt society in America or in the world in general. Meaning people are moving towards this morally bankrupt ideology. They stand for nothing. Like they have no purpose in their life anymore. This is, if you think about trolling and all these kinds of things, this is happening because people don't have a purpose anymore. They don't know what they're supposed to do. They can no longer, have a standard of etiquette and living and all that stuff, right? So those kinds of things are important, right? Yeah, it's childish. I mean, but this is a symptom of a deeper problem, right? This is a deeper problem, meaning that when people used to try to aspire to be something better, to try to challenge themselves, to try to be examples of something, right? That is no longer there. This is the problem. But anyways, we're gonna have trolls, we're gonna have things like that, so no problem. We keep moving, and inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will protect us from people like this. But anyways, so yes, let me know what you guys' thoughts about France are. Let me see here. Muhammad T. Salam, it's my second week joining. Oh, mashallah, jazakallah khair for joining in. We appreciate your support, and I'm glad that you enjoy the content. But anyways, so jazakallah khair. Kenny, likewise, brother. I believe that you're doing a lot of good work, and I'm honored to have you join the show. But so I think that Muslims need to take a stand. There should be no cowering away from this. If you are a Muslim and you are seeing what's happening in France, speak about it. Tell people, hey, and there's nothing wrong with calling out the hypocrisy in the in action, right? Because this is the issue. If you cannot have two different standards for different people, for different groups of people. That would be, if you did it based on race, it would be racism. If you did it based on gender, it would be like misogyny, or it would be whatever you have. Like all the terms they're inventing today, right? Every subset of people have a term associated with it. If you did it against the Jews, it would be anti-Semitism. If you did it, there's so many things here, right? So Muslims should also be unified in that voice that, hey, this is wrong. We don't need to. We don't need to have to shy away from that. I agree. I think Imran Khan did speak out against the president of France. I think he did a good thing. He called them out and told them, listen, you guys are anti-Islamic. So it is what it is. France, the Muslim world is in crisis. They need to learn to take criticism like us and move. We are France, freedom of speech. Yeah. Also, France, how dare you insult the flag and president? You will pay. Exactly. This is the thing. There's always a double standard. Yes, Habib Nurmagomedov, he won the fight. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Let me bring on somebody here. Adnan is here. Hopefully this will be a halal stream, but inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Adnan, welcome to the show.
Alaikum salam, brother. Thank you for having me, man.
No, you're welcome. Thank you for calling in and listening. I appreciate it. Always a pleasure to hear you, Adnan.
Thank you. Yeah, no, this is a great topic, man. And I just wanted to address something that not a lot of people talk about. A lot of people, they keep asking us to condemn the attack, and they're assuming that somehow we might lean to be supporting it, as if Islam allows this stuff. And they always keep asking us, this cliche, do you condemn this? Do you condemn that? This is ridiculous. And I want to add something else. I don't know if they read history, but in 1961, 200 Algerian Muslims were massacred by French authorities in Paris because they were protesting for their independence. Have the French authorities apologized to Muslims? That's the question.
Absolutely not. They have not done that, and that is part of the problem. That they decided, you know what, that we're going to be civil now, right? We're going to be people that are, we're going to define civility. We're going to ignore the fact that we, enslaved and we treated them like animals, that we raped and pillaged and bonded men and women. I mean, just look what happened to Umar Mukhtar, right? I mean, people who don't know his story, you just read about what happened there, read about the colonialization, read about all this stuff, and no one will, if you remind them of that, say, oh, it's the past, we've changed, but we can see their actions haven't changed. Their mindset has not changed. They have one mindset of their people and one mindset against somebody else. And that problem is a problem that continues today. But the deeper problem is that Muslims also they need to not have an inferiority complex. They don't need to be ashamed, or they don't need to feel like, that somehow the French or an American or a British person is above you in any way. Right? They have their issues. Yeah. They have things that they need to correct. We can also teach you. We believe Islam is a solution. We believe we have the answer to your disease, right? This disease that you have in your mind. And I think right now, the issue happening in France now, and I think this is why it's important that Muslims call them out on their double standard. We should never let that go. That's just how I feel about it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jazakallah khair for calling in, brother. I appreciate it as always.
Thank you very much.
We'll talk to you later, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, and so that was a great point made by Brother Adnan. That if there's a dark, bloody history by France, and anyone that studies the history of North Africa, you will see that it's it's been very problematic. We have another person who's joining in. Assalamu alaikum, Ali. Welcome to the show. How can I help you, sir? What are your comments?
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so I just want to say, like, they keep spouting like freedom of speech, but like their intention is not really freedom of speech. It's more like just power and just really wanting to prevail over the Muslimin, and their intention is not really democracy or freedom or any of that sort. It's more just power and just just to prevail over us, just stamp over us. And also reminds me of like hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said, I'm just paraphrasing, where he said, you'll be large in number, but you'll be very weak.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. You're right. There's a hadith, and so two things though, just to be to follow up here. The idea is the laws that have been put into place, sometimes they're created by the ones that have the upper hand. And what happens is that they create these laws that are good for each other with the idea that they created them thinking that they would always be the majority and that there would not be much of a difference. They would be very monolithic in culture. The problem happens is when they get to take these laws that they wanted for each other and they apply it to another segment of the population that is a minority that has a different opinion, that makes them nervous because now they don't like that, right? They never anticipated that France would have basically non-European people that have come in large waves. America did not expect that they would have a large, maybe Hispanic population or a black population or so forth and so on. And these and when the framers and the makers or the movers and shakers, the makers and shakers, when they feel like this is now applying to other people, that makes them nervous. Because they don't like the fact that other people can exercise the same rights that they have, and unfortunately, it causes them to react. Now, the other thing is about the hadith about Muslims being plenty in number but weak, and they will be devoured like a flesh on plate, and this is true. This is an end-time prophecy, but we see it happening. This is largely in part, I believe, because Muslims have gone away from the basics. They have looked to others as guides. They have looked to others as examples. They have an inferiority complex. It's time, in order for us to overcome that and not to become like that, it's not about just making people Muslim. It's about behaving like a Muslim. It's about having the same character, having the same attitude, carrying yourself as a Muslim, right? Representing yourself as a Muslim. These things are important. And I think that needs to be done on a unified front. Otherwise, they will continually abuse you. You know, we have many sayings like this even outside of Islam, but like a man who stands, who stands for nothing is really worth nothing, right? You have to be principled. If you are a Muslim, you should stand with it, and they will respect you more. Nobody respects people that don't stand for what they believe in, right? You have to do that. Otherwise, if people think you're wishy-washy and you really don't believe in anything, you have no spine, they're going to take advantage of that, and they're not going to respect you. History has always testified to strong people that were strong in their belief. Actually, this is interesting you bring this up, because I was reading the history of the Caucasus recently, and there's Imam Shamil, who was from the Caucasus, who was an Avar Turkic Muslim, who actually the same ethnic group as Habib is. He was a fierce opponent of the Russian Empire, to the point that the Russians even they admired him. The Tsar of Russia admired him even when they caught him. They admired his principles because he never compromised on what he believed in. And so that is a great example of even your enemies admiring you and holding you in high esteem because you don't compromise on your beliefs. And I think you're right, brother. We need to make sure that happens. Did you have a follow-up? If not, we'll go ahead and move on, brother.
No, that's all I was gonna say.
All right. Jazakallah khair for calling in, brother. Inshallah, we'll speak to you later. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
All right, S.N. Smith, welcome and thank you, Jazakallah khair, Habibi, for the super chat. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. Let's go on to the comments here and see what's going on. Let's see what else someone else wrote here. Sorry if I missed some of your comments. So here we're talking about, okay, here it was. Was it not the North African who killed that teacher? Point. Okay, I think you guys are talking about a different subject matter. Yeah, I mean, I think there is a French hypocrisy going on here, right? Calling the French out on their hypocrisy is a good thing to do, but they are so self-righteous it will fall off of them like water off of a duck's back. Yes, but the problem though is that what we're doing is we're appealing to the intellectual people, right? That's what I hope to do. Right, because I believe there are good people, S.N. Smith, in these countries where they will. I mean, even in America, we've seen many people who are average Americans that will not stand up for bigotry against Muslims or blacks or Hispanics, or they will not tolerate, they will not normalize that. And I believe that by highlighting this, it makes them feel uncomfortable. The more we talk about it, the more Muslims outside the country talk about it. Right, not just in France, but in the UK. In Arabia, in India, Pakistan, in East Asia, in America, in Canada, when you make videos about this and you talk about this and you point out the hypocrisy, it loses legitimacy. Like, I mean, right now we're looking at them as a joke, right? I mean, if France ever wants to claim to mediate any issues in the Middle East, tell them to get the hell out of here. Go home. Nobody wants you. You have no business talking about being fair and mediating. You have no business doing that. You're not qualified. You haven't demonstrated that you could be fair or you can be a neutral player in any conflict in that region. No, we don't trust you. We've seen exactly how you behave when the power is in your hands. All right? Arsalan says, I will reiterate the point. The French government were hesitant to return the stolen artifacts during African colonialism. Absolutely, great point. Imagine that. Not only have they tried to admit that they tried to come off and say, well, they downplay that issue, saying it's all old history. They say we apologize, but when it comes time to rectify the past, they are reluctant to do it. But to a different segment of the population, they are willing to pay reparations. Isn't that something ironic? Right? That for one segment of the population, they don't want to take any demonstrable actions. But for another population, they're willing to bend over backward and even pass legislation that would prohibit people from talking about a particular event like the Holocaust. So I found that to be very interesting as well too. Great point, Arsalan. No name. I agree I believe there is going to be a political shift similar to what happened in UK, Germany, and the Netherlands, where you have people on the alt-right parties of those countries. Absolutely. You know what? There is a growing right wing in Europe right now. We see it coming out of Poland. We see it coming into different parties in Germany. We've seen a party slowly rise up in the Netherlands. We've seen it in the UK. I mean, we see it even in America. We see the rise of a right wing here. And the only way to really call them out, I mean, to overcome them is to call them out on the hypocrisy and say, are you going to abandon the principles that you have founded your country on? Are you going to abandon these ideas that you've prided yourself on? Right? Put that spotlight on them. Right? That's how I believe it should be. That's just generally what I believe it should be. But let's talk about some other things. Let me see here. Wait, let me just follow up here. No name. They went from being against Islam to either converting or supporting a Jew to Muslims holding on to the... Yes, absolutely. I believe that eventually it will be an example for the Muslims as well. I mean, for society as well, too. They will see that. It's fishy, all this terror attack. I can't believe someone could get a teacher out of school and then drag him through 2 streets and behead him and then post it on Snapchat, whatever. You know, James Green, if you want me to be honest about it, I didn't even see what happened. I don't even know the guy's name. I don't know who the hell did it. But you know why? For me, it's irrelevant. There was a guy who did it. He behaved in a criminal manner. He did it. He killed a person extrajudicially. And we don't, why is that relevant to me? Right? I don't have any issue. I mean, it's not related to me. I don't have anything related to this issue. I just know that, hey, he happens to be a Muslim. I mean, there are plenty of people that do actions all over the world that happen to be of different religions, and they get mad for different things. I mean, there are Christians who honor kill their people in Africa. There are, Hindus who do honor kill their people. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's just, it's not related to me. I don't have to apologize for this stuff. Floating Man, thanks, bro. Really thanks. Yeah. Okay. Great. Yes. Yeah. A lot of hypocrisy. Absolutely. S.N. Smith says in the Guardian. Look up the article. It is serious and intense. White supremacist domestic terror that threats... of course, yes. I mean, the FBI has said consistently that right-wing terror in America is a huge deal and a huge issue. It has... recently they uncovered a plot where they wanted to assassinate Joe Biden. And this is coming from the right wing. These are the so-called tolerant people, right? The people who want to, protect freedom and democracy and all the stuff, right? But they want to go out and kill their own people. Right? It's crazy. It's crazy to me that they would do these kinds of things. The idea of freedom of speech as well, too. This is also a very interesting concept. So just to touch lightly on this before we do some other things, but just to be, it is my personal opinion that there is no such thing as freedom of speech. You have certain areas that have more free speech, but there is no such thing as freedom of speech. It might be a concept or a what you call it, maybe a theoretical concept that people have, which is fine. Where they say it is, since it's very close, it's like freedom of speech, but it's not exactly it. Fine, I get it, but don't call it freedom of speech, because anytime you limit any speech, it cannot be freedom anymore, right? You're not completely free to have it. If the nightly news censors the curse words or things like this, right? You don't have freedom of speech because people can censor you, right? So anytime you have a censoring of speech, it no longer tends to be, it can't be freedom of speech, right? You get that point, right? That you can't say you have freedom and then censor it and say we have freedom. So, and by the way, I'm not arguing that it's a bad thing to censor speech. I'm okay with the fact that we don't hear F-bombs on the nightly news, right? I'm okay that we don't have complete freedom of expression where people can't walk around naked in the street. I'm okay with that. If you didn't have certain censoring and restrictions, society would be chaotic. We're okay with laws that limit certain practices, right? So why are we not okay? Why is freedom of speech the only exception? Why are they trying to make this like the standard? We limit and put conditions on many things in the world, from workplaces to school to interactions to clothing to, I mean, all these things we put interactions, I mean, restrictions everywhere. Why do we not, why do we make it a problem when it comes to speech, even though we know we have these restrictions? We know that. But yet, with one side, it should be, apply the restrictions, and the other side, we don't. Right? It's just very, very strange to me that we would that we have an issue with this, and people still try to make this point. But let's go ahead and see here. Floating Man, check the next time the news correctly. If you live in the States and think automatically everything is done by North Africans because you hear about it. Okay. All right. Yes. Sure. Absolutely. I know there's a lot of actions. Of course. Yes. I know. And that is actually a good point, though. I want to make a point about that. A lot of times people will see news in different countries from outside, and they will think that that's the narrative. But that is far from a narrative. Like if you hear about the news in America, you would think America is this large place where there's gun violence everywhere and people are getting shot in the street and everyone's racist to everybody, and that you would think that it's a chaotic place, but it's really not. Right? It's not that way. Likewise, if I see the news about UK, if I see the news about France, if I see the news about all these different countries, you're going to see that you're going to think the country is based on all of the headlines, right? And the headlines are there for a reason, to make headlines, to be, to provide shock value, to, create hyperbole, right? This is what it was, right? So it is what it is. All right, take your time, Ali Muhammad. He has to do a Macron Trump in the loo. All right, well, hopefully it won't be too painful for you, but we welcome back. Maybe it might be TMI for some people, but hurry back. Anyways, some people do have Stockholm syndrome. That is true, where they do believe. Here, this is the comment we're looking at, that they have Stockholm syndrome, where they enjoy the abuse, but who knows? We're here. We can't say that, bro. Otherwise, they would say, wait, what is bad with walking around naked in the street? Well, I mean, most people, I don't know about in Europe, but in America, most people don't want to walk around naked, right? I mean, they don't want to see, they don't want to see young kids, watching old men and old women walk around naked, or other people or whatever. They don't want to see this stuff, at least not yet. So I think for right now, we can get away with the analogy. Hopefully, it won't be, it won't be over their heads just yet. Let me see here. Imagine the week before you were saying Islam is a world problem, and to find out your freed hostage has accepted the faith. Absolutely. That is embarrassing for them. I think that's probably why they get embarrassed. And I think a similar incident was with Yvonne Ridley. When she was captured by the Taliban, and people were expecting her to hate Islam and to talk about how bad the Muslims were and how evil they are, and she ends up becoming a Muslim, which is also crazy. The beheading was a state-sanctioned, a state actor, and we must start questioning French authorities. It could be absolute. I mean, all I will say is that there is a lot of there are things that governments can do to create situations, and we shouldn't put it beyond them to do such things. The organization Islam for Europeans needs to kick into overdrive. Inshallah, it does. I mean, I know the brother behind it, Robert Dafour, very nice brother, but inshallah, our European brothers, they make their dawah and it becomes successful, inshallah. Let me see what Arsalan says. French police arrested Idriss Sihamedi, a founder of NGO Baraka City, with an assertion by the Interior Minister accusing him of condoning terrorism. He was vocal against the recent policies by the government. And this is the problem. Like, even NGOs, non-profits who are donating to people are going to be considered to be terrorists now because they're vocalizing dissent, right? This is turning into dictatorial regimes, where people just want to silence the opposition, right? Isn't that ironic? Jazakallah khair for that information, Arsalan. So it's crazy. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, it seems to me from the outside, I can't comment on what's happening inside France, but it seems that they're looking to wage a war, and it may be, I mean, due to I think there's an election coming up, a political season, right? If I'm correct, in France. So maybe this has something to do with trying to appeal to a right-wing base and trying to prove for them that he's tough on terrorism and that they're gonna have, better policies. But the problem is that it is not just rhetoric, right? It's actually policies now, which is very dangerous, because now what you're doing is you're setting a precedence for future governments and administrations, which is a problem. Mekabir says, 2 sisters in France became Muslim after being taken hostage in Mali. The best thing is a sister wore hijab when they came out of the plane, and Macron had to welcome them in the airport. Amazing. Subhanallah. Amazing that happens. Call me Papa. I hope I'm wrong. Clear on Islamic. Yes. This is why, as Muslims, we must come together and change the narrative. Hate the term Islamophobia. It is anti-Semitism at the highest degree. Yes, I mean, take back the narrative. I agree with that. Be vocal about it. Be vocal about the double standards. Be vocal about the hypocrisy. Be vocal about, all of these injustices. But, I think his competitor is Le Pen, who is part. Yeah, and the funny thing is that he is doing exactly what Le Pen wanted to do. He's turning out to be maybe even worse than Le Pen in these ideas. I don't know. Yes, Trump did appeal to the right wing, and he did win. And that's the whole idea. A lot of people are appealing to the right. Bolsonaro in Brazil. You have, people in UK, Boris. You've got various governments that are appealing to the right wing for to I guess not be politically correct and get away with it. Let me see what SN Smith says. 58,857,310 Americans have already voted in the U.S. election. That is 42% of the total votes counted in the 2016 election. Well, we will see what the results will be. I doubt we'll have the results on the evening of November 3rd, but I think it'll go on for a while. People will contest it, as I mentioned earlier in the stream. I think we'll have the results somewhere by January. I think, Trump is not going to let this go easy. But let's see what happens. Let me see here. How long do you think it would take for someone to become proficient in Arabic? It depends on their level. From 0 to nothing, it depends on their effort. It depends on how serious they are. I mean, I've seen people become decently proficient within 1 year. I've seen it take people, a decade, because of their own effort and teachers and a lot of factors. But there is plenty of material. It depends mainly on your dedication, your willingness to learn, and to dedicate yourself to the language. But once you understand key, important, important rules and the grammar, once you understand that part of it, it becomes easier. So, I mean, you unlock it, and then it just makes sense. It clicks in your mind. It's a matter of unthinking certain things and unlearning certain things that you've learned in a different language. Let me see here. Let me see if I can get some of these comments here. Okay. A little in Arabic, Urdu, English, a little bit of Spanish. So I can for the most part, yeah. That's right. Maybe I hope to learn some different languages. Maybe I don't know in the future. Maybe Farsi, maybe. Hopefully, but we'll see. I mean, again, that's in the future, but that's all. I would love to learn Turkish too. I think Turkish would be a great language to learn, inshallah. But anyways, let me see. My son does not need permission unless he is mentally unwell, severely autistic. Okay, I think you guys are having a different topic there. Imagine attacking immigrants that come to you for security. What more can you say? Yeah, absolutely, Redcore. That's a good point. That's a good point that people need to reflect on. Here, let me see this. In an interview the other day, Yasser Qadhi said, Riddah and atheism is sweeping through the Muslim community. Your thoughts? He also acknowledged the Islamic rival. This is an Islamic rival now, or reveal now. The thing is, I do believe that Riddah is an issue, and I believe that atheism is also there. And I think it's partly because of some of the attitudes that we've had as Muslims, the inability to have a conversation, the inadequacies in training and educating the next generation, the fact that we have chosen to look to a different standard and not rely on our own standards. And to be honest, there's a huge crusade against religion in general in the Western world, whether it be Christianity, Judaism, or any of these things. It's not just Islam, and this is unfortunately the effect of progressivism and liberalism, in my opinion. And the idea is that I believe this is the dangers of allying with the left, and putting yourselves behind, and that is, and letting them lead you. You will fall into this problem. We have our own standard. We have our own morality. We have our own guidance that we get from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, and we don't care if a certain academic society doesn't like it, or they don't, they want to question it. That's their business. We don't really care. We have a different standard. I think Muslims need to stop being apologetic, stop trying to fit in, stop trying to mesh with these people. It doesn't matter. We have our own societies. We should be proud of that. We should focus on building that. We should focus on reviving that. We should focus on doing those kinds of things. And I think that the more we get away from that, we're going to see more of it. Either we deal with it directly head on, or it'll happen the other way. And I think there's two things: either you indoctrinate your children, or somebody else will indoctrinate them for you. One of the two. There's no other way around it, right? You have to be. That is our job as parents, to raise children and to indoctrinate them, and we do that with Islam. Otherwise, they're going to go to school and indoctrinate them with Western idea or liberalism or progressivism. That's just how I feel about it. Let me see this here. More, was it difficult for you to deal with Mahim versus Hakikachu? No, it's not difficult for me too. There's always right and wrong. Waqqas Akhtar. So I don't take sides. I speak the truth, and that is it. Sometimes the truth may offend some people, but people can respect me for speaking my mind and for speaking the truth, and I will be fair in my criticism. If I'm wrong, I don't mind to be corrected and publicly apologizing. And I think that's how it should be. They're both brothers. And I think if anyone wants to hold a grudge about things like that, they need to also do some self-reflection, because life is bigger than small grudges, right? I don't think I have an issue with that at all. No problem. Let me see here. Let me see this. So many so-called Muslim academics are a bigger threat to Islam than many hostile non-Muslims. Yes, because they're trying to appeal to the academia, the standard, right? They're not trying to, and their influence makes a big creates a larger problem. Macron would never dare to say Christians is in crisis around nor Judaism and Hinduism, but yeah, of course, because he is a coward. He's trying to appeal. He cannot stand on his own 2 feet. He wants to appeal to a right wing, and he's a coward for that. And I'm glad I can say that to his face. Macron is a coward. He's a small little man that has a problem. He's desperately trying to win an election, and he loves power over justice. Okay, but we're going to Yeah, we need a whole separate topic on progressive Muslims, so we'll do that. But anyways, I think we're gonna have to end the stream here. It's been about an hour. We've gone live. I appreciate everybody that joined in. I'm gonna be going over to the other studio with TMM because I've got to go over there and do recording with them. So I'll have to get going very soon. But remember, guys, like, share, subscribe, become a member. Consider joining Patreon. I'm going to be releasing some videos on my Patreon. I have some new stuff to be releasing. I was busy, but I got videos in the process. They're going to be uploading, but that premium content will be available to the premium members on YouTube and Patreon. So make sure you guys check that out. Also, I have new shirts that are out. Descriptions will be down below in the link. So check them out for the gear. I've got some good compliments on them. Sim and Mahi and other people in the neighborhood been buying them. So make sure you guys get them. I like them. I think it's good. Support the cause. But anyways, I think we have a new show coming up next week. I have some guests coming on, but I want to bring on a pastor that I'm going to be debating. He's been vocal with Mahin against Islam, whatever, and I want to talk to him, so I'm going to try to get him on later on if I can. But stay tuned. I will post updates on Twitter and on my YouTube. What do you call the community forum on YouTube? So, alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Beholder God. Sorry, we're about to end the stream, brother. Pleasure to have you, but we are going to have to end the stream, unfortunately. And then, but I've got to run. We've been here for about an hour so far. We do the weekly show on Sunday. So tune in next week for the weekly show every Sunday at 2 p.m. Central Time, and we will catch you then. So take care of yourselves, and remember, put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Be proud of who you are, and Allah will make a way for you, inshallah. Okay? But never be apologetic for being a Muslim. All right? With that being said, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.